let me get this straight. Tag is not only increasing prices, they're being very transparent about their turnaround times. They are also talking about how many submission centers they have across the world and what's going to happen to those submission centers when remote grading becomes available. They have also talking about their popularity and how much they've increased, like we're talking about company wise. And all this kind of stuff, all this information was released to us and given to us in an email where Tag is talking to their clients, to anyone who is already graded with Tag. So if you never got the email, now you know why. But if you did, you might have glanced at it. But let's go ahead and talk about this and the long-term implications that this has for the hobby. Well, look, honestly, as a tag grader and tag collector, there's I see positives and negatives in this, and I want you guys. I want to present to you guys the information so you guys can make your own decision how you feel about this. Now, personally, I'm a little conflicted, yes and no, because if you've been watching this channel, you already see me bashing on PSA for their price hikes and their long turnaround times. Now, Tag is starting to do the same thing, but to increase in size. But whenever we start realizing how small Tag is, it makes sense why they're increasing their size and why they're having issues doing their duties and what we are paying them for. So, like, I understand it. Like, do I like it? Absolutely not, because I'm an entitled grader. I'm an entitled spoiled customer. I want the services how I want them, and I feel like a lot of people see that. But if you're a supporter of this company, if you believe that this is the way of grading in the future, as much as it might make you upset, we have to understand why. So whenever you guys look at the email, I'm gonna go ahead and post the pictures of the email as well. I like the email. It's very tag like. We're talking about black and white. I'm talking to collectors, because collectors are the ones that are really grading with Tag. As resale continues to grow with time, the main people who are grading with Tag are going to be resellers. Are they going to be collectors and eventually probably resellers whenever they say that this is going to be the way of the future. But it starts off with a paragraph talking about their expansion and their growth. One of the things that I always find funny whenever it comes to like tag content creators, or like myself, or those who like grade with Tag, is one of the gimmicks in their channel and their niche is because we are tag graders, we are tag collectors, we want to be transparent. And the tag grading company doesn't skip a beat, especially whenever one of the things that they finish with the opening paragraph is growth at this pace demands transparency, and here's ours. What's good to see about Tag is that they are experiencing growth, and that makes sense why some of their submissions or turnaround times have gotten longer. We are seeing, or they're letting us know, that they've experienced a total of 282% growth from the months of August of 2025 to March of 2026. And honestly, that's kind of about the time that I've been grading more and more with them. And yes, I can honestly say the submissions coming back have been getting longer. But this is mostly due to bulk. I like to grade bulk. And now I think going in the future, I'm going to be grading so I can get the score back. But whenever I heard about Tag and I was really getting into grading, Bulk or Tag Bulk offered a really nice service in the fact that there was no upcharge. So it didn't matter if my cards went up in value because of grading. I wasn't paying anything extra to get them back. I was also sending 20 cards at a time, and as someone who likes to collect Japanese and even resell some Tag Japanese cards, this is kind of gonna hurt it. But I was using Bulk for this reason. But Bulk is the one that's going to suffer the most, because it's probably going to be the one that takes the longest to get done. But, so they talk about they have 282% growth. Due to this growth, they've went ahead and increased their size from a staff of 30 people to 114. And that's pretty insane, considering that they're talking about they're releasing more space, they're getting more equipment, they're doing everything possible to accommodate the submissions that they're getting. Now, I really hope that then whenever they're acquiring this space, whenever they're trying to grow, they're doing it in the scale not to meet the demand that they have right now but meet the demand they're getting in the future, or they're anticipating getting in the future, so that way their grading services or their turnaround times don't slow down. Personally, that's going to be one of the biggest things that I like about tag grading, is whenever I was grading with them, it wasn't slow, it was pretty fast. But now having to wait like 2.5 months for a bulk submission, it really does hurt. Now, with that being said, I keep mentioning bulk, I keep talking about bulk, and the reason why is because tag is getting rid of bulk submission, and that kind of hurts the hobby. I really think so. I really think it does. And it hurts the hobby for tag collectors. I think, because, well, personally, like, this is how I feel like it hurts the hobby or hurts the company in a bad way, because bulk submissions is a good way to send a good amount of cards at the cheapest price for a fast turnaround time, fast-ish, right? But now they're getting rid of it. Now, I believe in tag, and I like what tag has to offer. I like the tools of the dig report, and I feel like if you're going to be in this hobby for the long term, whether if you're collecting Pokemon, One Piece, or any kind of TCG, I think one of the best things that people will do is probably going to be pay that premium for the most pristine card, especially when it comes to grading itself. Now, PSA has its issue, Black Labels have their issues, but they require the highest price. But, at least the Black Label or Beckett, right, they give you the information on why it got a Black Label, why it got a 9.5. And tag does the same thing with a dig report. And so I think more people are going to start appreciating bulk grading, or they were going to appreciate grading with tag, but taking or eliminating the bulk grading really does hurt. My friends, we were planning of always continue sending like 5 cards, 6 cards each person, for the bulk submission. But it looks like now we're going to have to come back, like, cut that. We're going to have to stop that and start sending cards more intentional, like not cards that we actually like, but I guess are going to hold their value. And I look, if you're a collector and if you're a grader, you can grade and collect whatever you want. Sometimes I think that if you pull your first chase card, get it graded for the memory, right? If you're going to beat this in the long term. The first card that your kids, your wife, your friends pull, they can make a nice little gift. Getting it graded and like holding it as a memory. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Because this is a fun hobby. This is an extremely fun hobby. But kind of taking away that 20 card submission and going down to 10 really does hurt. I mean, I can't harp too much about it. But personally, I'm not a big fan that we're not going to be getting bulk submission anymore. But yes, you can still submit more than just 10 from one of the grading tiers, right? But sometimes we're trying to grade at the highest amount. But you know what? I think maybe this is the right step. So it encourages to go down to one of the best features that tag has, and that's going to be the score grading. Now, if you keep scrolling down the email, it's going to be talking about Tag Submission Network. In this paragraph, on this part of the email, it is talking about how now tag is opening up 100 different submission centers across the world. And honestly, I think that is a positive move. I think that it's a good move for collectors, for the general public, because the easier you make it for grading, because I feel like a lot of people find it hard, very intimidating to get their cards, put it in a penny sleeve, put it in I forgot it. See, I already messed up on and that's the chingadera. What's it called? Not a top loader. The space card saver. Putting it in a card saver. Yeah, redeemed myself. First try. They put it in a card saver, multiple, stack it up. You put it in cardboard. Wrap it up with tape. Put it in a secure box and send it to them. I understand that shit is really hard. Too hard. I couldn't even go explaining it without messing it up. So I can only imagine that the general people can't do that. So opening submission centers across the United States is really going to help. Across the world is really going to help getting more submissions into tag. With that being said, this is kind of what I talk about. Like, okay, they are increasing their staff to 114 employees. They're talking about getting a bigger size studio, warehouse, whatever they want to do, right? grading facility, more space, more machines, more everything, right? I hope that whenever they're adjusting and hiring this staff is to accommodate the value that is going to come from in-person grading submission centers. I feel like that is really going to help them do better and reach those numbers from like going from the fifth best or the fifth most graded company used and to the possible fourth and to the third, right? They have to make up a lot of ground if they want to be taken serious in the grading sphere. And I think they are, because they are making those moves and they're being transparent about it. Now, whenever I first read this email, like I didn't pay attention to this part. I glanced at it, but now I'm glad they're incorporating it. They're saying that these submission centers, it's hard to get affiliated to become a submission center. Afterwards, these submission centers they're going to be the first ones to convert into in-person remote grading stations, right? So you won't have to just send these cards to California for grading. You can get them graded in the same city that you are now. And honestly, I think that's huge. Like, that's going to be a service that PSA won't offer. That's going to be a service that CGC can offer. But I think this is a service that if you're using AI grading, you should be able to offer across the world. Not only that, if you're a business owner, or if you're a card store owner, a business owner, I think you might want to try to get in this affiliate list, become a submission center, become a remote grading station for TAG, just as because it's going to bring clientele, people who are really into the hobby. And look, I don't know how many times it's happened, but you go to a card shop, you buy some product, people are ripping it there, and they pull the chase card. They look at it. It would be awesome if once they pull the chase card, either selling it to the card store, they can go ahead and grade it there on the spot. People are going to pay money to do that. They're already paying above market price for Pokemon product. So what makes you think that they won't pay? They won't pay for in-person grading without the fear of getting upcharged. Now, please understand that this is going to have consequences in the grading hobby down the road. We're going to see if this comes into fruition, whether these card shops, these local pop and mom card shops, or I guess now bros, investors, scalpers, become submission centers and they become remote grading stations. There's going to be controversy about, maybe you go and leave your cards, you pull the chase, you go home because it's a 1-day turnaround period, that these cards get switched by some of the cards of these owners, from the card shop. We're going to see that a little bit more often. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that TAG could get hit on later down the road, unless we're talking about immediate turnaround grading when it comes to AI grading. But, we'll leave that speculation. We'll leave those stories for later down the road whenever it really does manifest. Until then, we're not going to go ahead and get scared. We're not going to go ahead and talk about possibilities until we see the proof, right? So, scrolling down the email, they go ahead and start talking about the prices. So now the basic price, the basic to get your cards graded, like the basic price or the basic tier is going to be $22, which is going to be an increase, right? And this is going to be for 10 cards minimum. So this is basically becoming bulk without them saying it's bulk. Because why is this the minimum? You have to send 10 cards to reach the 22 price range. Now with this, it's only going to be the grade, and turnaround time, you're looking at 45 days and above. Now with one of my collectors, with one of my friends, with one of my subscribers, let's go with one of my subscribers, EverQuest. We've already talked about his classic EverQuest. We already went ahead and talked about his cards because he does grade with TAG and he grades vintage cards with TAG. Now, me and him, we were talking about it, and whenever you price up the bulk submission, because they're saying they're cutting out the value bulk, but it's now just tied down behind basic. So they didn't get rid of it, they just renamed it. You're going to have a 45-day plus turnaround time. So you're looking at 2 months and above because it's 45 business days. I wish they would put that because they're not being super transparent. But 45, or I guess, sorry, I'm going to give them benefit of doubt because they say they are grading 24/7 around the clock. So if they're telling you that it's still 45 business days, then they're full of shit. Tag rating should honor that, and if they're saying 45 days plus, that should be a month and a half, because they should not be tied down to business days since they're working 24/7. So let's go ahead and assume that 45 days plus means a month and a half for you to send 10 cards and reach that 22 price range. Now, if you guys have been seeing some of my previous episodes, I am advising you, I am telling you that if you are grading modern age or modern cards, top chase modern cards, if you are grading vintage, don't do bulk grading. Pay that premium for the score, because we're going to come down to grading, or we're going to come down that the cards with the highest score are going to go for the highest price for that Pokemon. And I think we're going to start seeing and knowing more people are going to start witnessing whenever Ken Golden auctions off that Tag 8 Pokemon Illustrator card. It's the top of the line, or it's their highest graded 8, but there's still 5 9s and there's still 110 Pokemon Illustrator card. And I personally feel like the thing that we're about to see is already laid ahead in front of us. And they're going to sell the Tag 8 Pokemon Illustrator. After that, they're going to say they're going to sell a Tag 9 Pokemon Illustrator. And at the end, they will finish off by selling the Tag 10 Pokemon Illustrator card. It's something that we're going to see, and people are going to pay premium amount of money for the highest score available. Now, basic grading tier at $22. It's a little pricey, and I feel like that does kind of price out for people who love Tag and they're trying to sell Tag slabs. I feel like that does price out Japanese cards or other foreign language cards, or just even cards that maybe are not popular Pokemon. This hobby, it is for the collectors, and there is a favorite Pokemon for every single person out there. So if we're only stuck grading Charizards, Pikachus, Espeons, Moonbreons, all that shit, the hobby is going to get very boring, very stale, very quick. Now, the standard went up to $39. We're looking at 30 days. It doesn't say 30 days plus. We are looking at 30 days turnaround time. So you should be getting these cards back within a month, right? And that is going to be the score and the grade, right? And this is going to be $39 per card. So we're looking at $40. Express is going to be $60. For $20 more, you can get that card back in half a month, right? 15 days. Honestly, only use Express if you're trying to move something extremely quick. They need to have this option. They need to guarantee that 15-day turnaround time when it comes to that grading tier. Because if not, then I feel like that Express is stupidly overpriced for what they're going to give you. Especially that right now, yes, like tags are selling for 10 prices, right? But it won't matter if you can't get them fast enough to keep up with your competitors. So Tag cannot mess up Express grading by any means whatsoever. Standard, I feel like that's where most of the people are going to be going. It is pricey. It is $40 for any kind of card. You'll get the grade, you'll get the score, but there's no upcharge. And I'm great that we're not hearing anything about that in this email. And of course, we have the priority and we have the walkthrough. Honestly, if you guys are grading through those services, hey, power to you guys. You guys are insane. Now, the last part of the email talks about new things that they're going to be coming on. One of them is going to be the tag shipping protection. It's going to be requiring for people to sign their packages and whenever they're accepting them. And I think this has to do a lot to prevent FedEx or UPS from stealing their merchandise and Tag having to come up with the insurance price, right? You know, they're going to make sure they require a signature to cover their end. So I get this. This is probably like a very positive move for the customer as well as for the company. It should go both ways. Another thing, they're going to go ahead and talk about the different cards that are finally going to be eligible for grading. one of the things that really stood out to me, we already had this conversation recently about one of my other subscribers, and that's going to be Rocket Grunt Mandy and her Van Gogh Pikachu that was autographed by the voice of Ash Ketchum. Yeah, congrats. I mean, I know you already sent your card to PSA for grading because Tag didn't offer it then, but eventually Tag is going to offer it. So, I mean, I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry that you already sent it through PSA, but like, if it comes back as an 8 or a 9, right, I hope that you really do reconsider grading with Tag. Not that they're going to be offering this to you, Mandy. Consider it, but it's going to be completely up to you. And we're going to have to find out the requirements that you will have to submit so they understand or they see that that autograph is authentic and not forged. They're also going to make updates and changes to the population report, which I think they absolutely need to because it's too broken down right now and it's not very user friendly for what the people are kind of used to. I saw a video about Twice Baked Jake talking about certain cards, and the only reason he left out tag grading is because he said it was too complicated. Personally, I just feel like he was too lazy. I'm not trying to shoot any fires, but if you really want to provide that information for your subscribers, you would. You would find a way. You don't have to just, oh, it's too hard or it's bad, right? That's my personal opinion. If you want to give them the information, you choose to do it. You find that information. Now, population report, you do kind of have to figure out what you're looking for, but I'll give you all the information there. But I am glad that they're making it more mainstream, more simpler. Now, the last and final thing that the tag email talks about is going to be the dig report update. How can I put this? Whenever you grade your cards through tag and you use just the grade, not the score, I think it's way more detailed for what it had than what it is for what the people are paying for that. You're not getting access to all the information of that card, as much as you would want to. I think it under delivers. And I think that whenever you do grade a card with a score, I think if finally you kind of get there, you're kind of showing the information, but you need to break it down into the simplest, easiest terms. And I'm sorry I have to say this, but there's a good chance that people don't want to look at the dig report because they don't understand what they're looking at. And don't be surprised if this is one of the issues that you're having, because look at the track history of the American education. I'm only talking about the American education because that's where most of the majority of the bulk or the submissions come from the United States. And education, we kind of been struggling across all states. So I feel like that program, Left No Kids Behind, has really turned into Left No Adults Left Behind kind of situation, right? Where we have a bunch of kids and a bunch of adults who, I'm sorry if you get offended. And if you get offended, that talks about more about you than about me, but kind of a dumbass, right? And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. I understand the information they're trying to give you, but if you want to make this more accessible for everyone and for everyone to completely understand it and really enjoy it, dumb it down. Dumb it down, not only for millennials to understand, dumb it down not only to college students to understand, dumb it down to the point where kids can understand this, because I think that's who you really should be targeting. You should be targeting the people who are getting into the hobby, and you want to make this information as easy, accessible, and understandable to them, especially if they're trying to get into grading, and then all of a sudden you're bombarding them with centering, fill, cuts, edges, all that stuff. Make it super simple. Hey, this is the reason why your card got a 9. This is why it didn't get a pristine 10. This is why it got a 10. And you break it down in layman's term of why. So I do think that the dig report needs to be customized a little bit more. And one of the things that I do want the dig report to implement, and hopefully they do, is they show you, they tell you that this is the first, second, third, or fourth, whatever. There's a bigger emphasis on that. Not only the score, because the score is going to be etched on side of the card, but whenever you scan the dig report, it will tell you that this is the first card in that 10. This is the first card in the preceding 10, right? Or this is the highest available card out there for that Pokemon, the highest available score. But I mean, those are some of the things that I got from the email. Like I said, we went ahead and talked about the email. We broke down some of the main key points of this information so you guys can make your own decision and feel how you feel, right? One of the things that I want you to do is just listen to me and get the same action or same opinions from what I'm talking to you. Look, does it make me happy that we're going to be looking at longer turnaround times for their new relaying bulk grading? No, but I understand that differences have to happen, or the differences or something has to change, because there were only a group of 30 people. Now there are a group of 114 people. If you are saying that you're working around 24/7 around the clock, so then whenever you're talking about those turnaround dates or turnaround times, they are not business days. You're admitting that you're working 24/7. I'm assuming holidays is going to be different, right? But you are working every single day. So whenever we're talking about business days, like it shouldn't be business days for turnaround times. It should be actual days with a 24/7 around the clock. And if not, you're just lying. You're not being transparent. You're just trying to cover your asses and justify you guys doing a higher price hike for longer turnaround times. Now, I do want this company to be successful. I think this company is going to be more successful whenever we're doing remote grading, but I feel like that beast is going to be different. But now I know, or at least we know, that submission centers across the world are going to be the ones who are most likely going to get access to the technology, because I doubt that they're going to give them the technology for free. These submission centers are going to have the opportunity to buy the technology and then grade through tag in whatever way they're going to do it. All that is going to be extremely interesting. Like I said, if I was a business owner, I would really consider becoming a submission center, and then I would really consider doing everything I can to be a remote grading center for tag, because regardless of how unpopular tag is, right, we are seeing growth. We are seeing more people talk about tag every single day. We are seeing more comments about tag and every single content creators whenever we have a story about PSA messing up. We are seeing more content creators moving from the space from PSA grading to tag grading, just because they want a little bit more transparency. Now, I'm gonna leave you with this. If you see some of these content creators and you feel like, no, they never talk about it, it's like, I want you to think for yourself. It's like, why would you think that some of these content creators who have, let's say like $1 million worth of inventory, why would they be advocating for another grading company when most of their money and their value is tied up to PSA? That's a bad move for them. So if you ever hear I feel like I don't want to put that guy in the spot, right? But I do see like Twice Baked Jake not like jumping on the tag grading, even though he knows and he appreciates it. He's not really vocal about supporting them. Who's the other guy? Garchomp. He doesn't like the idea of tag. Or these other ones who have a high amount of PSA cards. Like, it just makes sense why they wouldn't want to advocate for another grading company when most of their net worth is tied on behind this. I do see an opportunity for more content creators to have an affiliate links, which I would love one. Tag, please just give me one. Please give me an affiliate link. Reach out to me and let's talk about it. That'll be great, right? But so I would imagine Tag would be targeting new content creators. Just so they can get the new collectors into the hobby, considering grading with a new company, not with the status quo, right? Things change in the future. Things will continually change, and I think one of the things that we're going to really appreciate more down the road is if we do experience a market crash for whatever. A lot of people say that we will never experience a crash in the Pokemon hobby or in the TCG hobby. I think you guys are idiots. Just wait. If we experience another recession in the United States, I can guarantee you that the Pokemon hobby or the TCG hobby, that is a hobby, will crash because people are going to pull their money out of it to stay alive, to feed their families, to put gas in their cars, to go to work. Don't think just because there's a lot of money inside the hobby that it's too big to fail. It could stumble and it could hurt a lot of people. I see a lot of people saying that the TCG is the new crypto, right? It's not the new stocks because stocks give you dividends, but this is a new crypto. It's unregulated, not by the federal government. So it's the new crypto. I do see it crashing and hurting people. But the people who stay in the hobby and they're trying to collect the best cards available at an all-time low are gonna go with tag because it's gonna give you the information that this is the mintiest copy or the mintiest version of that card. Just wait and see. But aside from that, these are my thoughts when it comes to this email. Thank you for all the love that you guys supported. If you made it this far, please like the video and maybe consider subscribing. Only 6% of my subscribers watch my videos, and like that's insane. You know, there's a bunch of you that are like mooching off the content. Just go ahead and like the video. If anything, you don't have to subscribe, but subscribing would help a lot. Aside from that, I really do hope that you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.